Good morning and welcome to The Daily 3.
With your hosts, Michael and David. Mike and David. Mikey and Davey.
Miguel and
David. Was that your name in Spanish class?
It was.
Yeah.
It was actually. Most certainly. So what were your daily 3 from yesterday and how'd they go?
Daily 3 from yesterday were help my dad with realty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
His website. Yeah.
Yep.
So made some progress on that. Imported some of his leads and his contacts and information. I had to reteach myself, or I had to reteach myself like Excel, like VBA and creating macros and stuff, just to try to like organize and process some of his, which was kind of fun, but also kind of frustrating. You work like for, I don't know how long, like 30 minutes creating this code. So, and then it's like when the code runs, it runs in like 3 seconds, but it saves you
a lot of time over time.
Yeah. From like processing a whole spreadsheet of stuff. So,
Yeah.
So did that. That took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. So, so I didn't. That was the only thing I got done.
Nice.
I did not.
Good job, man. You made it happen. Wrote it down and you made it happen.
33%, baby.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking. That's
Hey, dude, that's good enough to be in the major leagues
that's true.
if we're talking baseball. So as far as we know, you are a major league hitter in the world of productivity. 33%.
That's true. I guess I just got to find the right.
That's a great batting average,
Just
man.
got to find the right game to play, and my averages are fantastic. In school, 33% doesn't get you that far, but
Yeah.
in baseball, man.
That's one of the reasons why I'm convinced school doesn't prepare you for the real world. Because they're like, you got to get like a C or better, which is like a 70%, or a D or better, which is like 65, I think.
Yeah.
Where I went to school. And nah, man, you really only need to get like above a 30, and you can hit in the major leagues with that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's a book title, Hitting in the Major Leagues with Michael.
I failed school in one life.
Yeah, it's a perfect subtitle. So I didn't dust and vacuum yesterday, and I did not touch my website at all.
Good job.
Thanks.
You failed.
I failed.
You wrote it down and didn't make it happen.
Yeah. So
Well played.
yeah, I was trying to figure out like what did I learn from that, and I don't know. I think the estimation of time, that's something I have to, I think, constantly be aware of.
Yeah, that
And also setting the boundary of my time.
that seems to be a theme, probably in every episode
With me?
with both of us.
Oh.
We maybe not every episode, but most of we significantly underestimate the amount of time something actually takes to do and make
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
I think what's hard is like an easy solution would be to just say, for me to be like, okay, I'm going to go and help my dad for 2 hours from 9 to 11 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or for any project that we work on. And that
just
is
set time limits.
and just set time limits. But I think the hard thing is that that's not how like life often works. I guess we could make it work that way, but I think oftentimes when I've done that, I'm in the work, and maybe that's part of the problem. Like I'm in the work and I don't want to stop in the moment. Or
when you hit that 2 hour point or that mark.
yeah,
where
you're like, oh,
stop.
I'm just getting started, or I'm just finally figured something out.
Yeah,
which makes me want to.
You're in the groove and you want to keep follow. You want to follow through with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or else it's something just takes longer than 2 hours. It's like I spend 2 hours and it's like, okay, well, I don't know. So I don't know if that's a matter of discipline or if a matter of like, I need to learn how to split up tasks. So I feel like I like am at a stopping point at 2 hours or whatever time I'm intentionally deciding.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like I've tried to operate both ways. And
there must be a third way.
Yeah. What if the daily one? We could just call it the daily. Instead of 3, we just pick 1 and that's it. And then we just say all day. We're just going to spend all day on it.
No.
16 hours. That's it.
Oh boy.
Oh, that's a long work day.
That is.
Yeah.
The daily one. I mean, there is that book, right? I think that is the book, The One Thing. Keep the main thing, or do the one thing, or just, I don't know if that's the solution.
Yeah. But I mean, maybe part of it is just
maybe it is
acknowledging, right? So there's 2 ways we've talked about approaching our daily 3, or at least there's 2 ways I have, and we've kind of modified each of them. But the first is to treat these like projects. So these are the 3 big projects I'm going to work on. 1 is the most important, 2 is the second most important, and 3 is the third most important.
That's the Michael way.
Yeah, and so I think I got that from Donald Miller. And that's the way, and I don't remember who he got it from, but that's how he approaches it. And he kind of holds on to that and says, the most important one is the most important one. So I'm going to take that start to finish. And if I never get to 2 and 3, that's okay, because I got the most important one done.
Yeah.
And then the next day, number 2 can become the number 1 for that next day, if it's still important. And so
the problem is when that project is like 8 weeks.
Yeah. And that's probably where it needs to be broken down into like sub projects or, subsets within that. Or the other thing is just the other way we've talked about it is being, rather than project based, being very specific and saying
task based.
Yeah, more task based. And it could be slightly broader than that, but not much. But it's very specific. And these are the 3 things that I have to get done that are going to move the ball forward in either my weekly goals, my quarterly goals, my annual goals, something like that.
That's the David way.
Yeah.
Who I stole from Michael Hyatt. Who he probably stole from someone else.
Yep. Who probably took it from someone else. Who probably took it from someone else. Who might have taken it from Solomon, who said there's nothing new under the sun.
That's right.
So
who took it? Who got it from God?
Yeah, it's all a ripoff.
We're all ripping off God. Just diving deeper into His grace every day.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm not sure because I've seen.
You sent that text.
Yeah, I did a while ago.
I just saw it.
I've seen the
that's fantastic
effectiveness of both, and I've seen the difficulty of both. And I think part of the false belief we can have when we come up with a new approach or a new method or a new way to do something is that this is going to solve all of my work problems. And the reality is, like, all work still exists in a Genesis 3 world. Yeah. All of it is fallen. All of it is corrupted by sin. Sin has its effect. The curse has its effect on work, all types of work, any types of work, no matter what method, tactic you're using. And so I think just remembering that of like either way you choose, or if you choose any combination or modification of those or something altogether different, we're still going, I should still expect I'm going to encounter these difficulties. Yeah. Because it's just a reality of this is what work looks like this side of restoration.
You cannot manage away sin.
Yeah.
Or the difficulties it brings. Can't do it.
Can't do it.
That's what I heard you saying.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
No matter what task or no matter what project or organizational structure we have, it's always going to exist in this world.
Right. Yeah. And I think that realizing that allows us to put our hope not in a productivity system or method,
but in Mars, because maybe sin doesn't exist on that world.
Ooh, what is that? Is that an acronym for something? Mars?
Nope. It's
management, accounting, realistic, success. That sounds like a great productivity method, man.
No, I'm just talking about.
Stop it! Don't put your hope in that.
No, I just meant like the planet Mars when we go there finally. But
Okay, I
no,
gotcha.
yeah. No, I'll still follow myself if I ever go there. So
The problem with going there is I take me with me.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the problem is not in this Earth.
Yeah.
It's in the people of Earth.
Yeah.
What were your daily 3? How'd you?
Yeah, let's see. My daily 3 yesterday were catch up on my Bible reading plan.
Yeah.
I did that.
Hey, dude, good job, man.
Thanks, dude. It was hard. I had to like sit down and actually
Way to succeed.
like read through, I think like 5 or 6 sections, and I just did it. So I'm current.
It was. Did you say it was hard or not hard?
It was hard.
What made it hard?
I think it was hard not to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Like or like getting to the point, maybe not sleep, but like getting to the point where you're tired. I was just like, I'm reading. And so I think part of that might have been the time of day I decided to do that. And part of it is just like, I am just more tired and exhausted right now.
Did you do it in the trough?
Not quite. Just before the trough.
Yeah.
Kind of in the, probably after the peak
of the energy.
of the peak.
Yeah.
So like on the downward, but yeah. And I just haven't been sleeping a lot. So I get more tired. My energy levels aren't as high.
I have a question about that. Remind me about that later.
Sure. And then second one's to finish fastening the subfloor to the concrete in the basement bedroom remodel project. And I did it. Woo! It's done. I got the site cleaned up and ready for the next thing I'm moving to after that. And then the third thing I had was to batch edit the podcast. And that did not happen.
All right, man. Way to fail.
But
and way to succeed on the subfloor.
Yeah, we still worked on the podcast. We ended up actually creating sort of a system to manage. We basically created the workflow of editing.
Yeah.
So we've created that system. So now that that's in place, it should be a good way for us to like divide and conquer the tasks of post-production. So that was fun. I think that was good and effective work too.
Got me excited for Trello again.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to do everything in this.
Yeah. Trello is a like project management software organization. What would you call it? I don't know. But that's the tool we're using.
I just realized I think I got excited because I was like, finally, a way to manage away all my problems.
Trello will fail you.
Sorry
to burst your bubble.
My friend Dave, who has known me for the past 8, 9, 10 years or so, like this has been a constant theme of mine in small group accountability time where I'm like, guys, just pray that God just helps me focus and get things done and be more productive. Mm-hmm. There was one great time where my friend Jeremy in the group, he was just like, yeah, Lord, David's, lack of productivity is just really getting us all down. It was great. And then, so, I don't know, it was a great moment. We all bursted out laughing, and because obviously it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But Dave's like, yeah, I think, David, you've always, my friend's name is Dave, so I'm not talking to myself in the mirror. David, he's like, David, I think you always like are always hoping to find some sort of like productivity hack or system that will like cure you of your ADHD. And I'm like, absolutely. That's constantly what I'm trying to do.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm doing.
And there isn't anything. I have to figure out a system to make my ADHD work with me.
Right.
I don't know. So, yeah. Is ADHD a result of the fall? I think so. That's a topic for another time.
Yeah. Should we, before we talk about today's Daily 3, comment on arrest?
Yeah.
So 7 episodes ago, last weekend, we, instead of doing a Daily 3, we did the Weekend Optimizer. So how are we going to plan to rest, intentionally rest, do all of that? How have you thought about rest this weekend? Are you resting? Are you going to? What will that look like?
I thought about that because I still, it's so hard, right?
Yeah.
This is the pivotal moment.
Uh-huh.
Am I going to choose to rest today or I'm going to choose to work? It just makes me like, I think in my head, like, okay, well, I woke up and I realized there's this computer that I've been telling a friend I was going to try to help fix. Mm-hmm. Haven't touched it for 3 weeks. So finally I was like, I saw it there and I was like, I'm doing that this morning. So I started working on that. Part of that's restful, part of that's not. So, and so then that started making me think like, okay, so what is rest again? And how does it distinguish from work?
Yeah.
So have I started the day restful? No, I started it with work. Uh, am I going to do some restful things during the day? Like, would it be beneficial for me? I think so.
Yeah.
If I took this day to rest, I rest last night kind of when we went to the bonfire or the, whatever that was.
Yeah. Barbecue and bonfire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but I don't know if I realized I didn't go into it maybe thinking. I think I went into it more afraid that I was going to be, like we talked about, that I was just going to like, I don't know, be. So I think I went into that into the barbecue and bonfire afraid of what was I afraid of? Of just like developing, of just maybe just being exposed emotionally or something like that. So I don't think I went into it thinking like, oh, now this is a time for rest.
Yeah.
Or even like reflection or just enjoyment of friends and activities. Though I did that last night.
Yeah.
I feel like there was still a tint of that over last night when I think about it.
Yeah. Which is, I think is good to acknowledge, right? Because one of the things we talked about, I think last time we talked about rest was about how it's not always the activity you're engaged in, but the attitude and the posture you take into that activity.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
The activity does have something to do with it, certainly, but it's not less than the activity. It's more than it. And the sort of the posture, the attitude we take into whatever we're trying to do as we approach rest matters. It's important.
Right.
So,
because I went into it afraid of, I think, honestly, just developing like greater relational like friendships and intimacy with people, because I'm afraid ultimately that if I do that, I'll end up getting hurt in the future.
Yeah.
And so that kind of was a hint over everything last night,
right?
Because I went in it with that posture in my heart and like fear. And so that in some ways, it prevented me from really fully enjoying that, which I think could have been more fully enjoyed as a night of rest and, of like just being with people.
Yeah.
Dang it. Crap. That's all right.
Yeah.
Today though, I don't know. I want to work so much on things, but I also know it's not good to work so much on things.
Yeah.
Wise words from David. So I'm going to read some of my book today.
Mm-hmm.
Going to do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. I didn't make a plan. I didn't write stuff down, which means I'm not going to make it happen.
Yeah.
So,
so nothing.
I realize that with rest, if I'm not intentionally and actually sit down and write it down, it doesn't happen. And that's where I realized yesterday when we got to the point of, okay, we have to make a decision about, are we going to go to this bonfire or not? And ultimately I decided to, but I remember confiding with you of like, I don't want to because I want to keep working right now.
Yeah.
And that was because I hadn't intentionally sat down and made the decision, like I'm going to do this activity that is restful and not working. And part of the motivation of like continuing to work would be that like,
yes, tell them about your Enneagram 6-ness.
I'm trying to remember how I phrased this, but essentially it was this: I want to be seen and known as someone who is a hard worker. And so if I'm not at this social event, people will notice my absence and know that I'm working and then see me as someone who is hardworking. And so a lot of it was, I think, rooted in fear of man, in a false identity about like that I'm also placing in my work of my work gives me my worth and my validation, and
which is
validates
so
me in front of other people.
Interesting. Because I don't know if I've ever thought of anyone like that who's missed a party. I've never thought in my head like, oh man, they're so unique. They're such a hard worker.
Yeah.
I would have been like, oh, that's sad. They're a workaholic. What a loser. Like, oh, man, they should, guess they just don't know how to rest like me, right?
Yeah.
You me. So how can I make everything about me?
Yeah. Right. But it comes back to what's funny about that is we're both approaching that in different ways, but we're still approaching it, I think, out of a posture of sinful comparison. Out of how do I appear more righteous than the other person? So But yeah, I guess so that actually doing that, I think what I'm noticing is there's a time where I would not have done that. Like I would have just kept working. And so to actually be able to tell someone else like, hey, I think I'm struggling with this temptation to keep working right now when I need to just cease, just stop working and say, you know what, I've been doing this all day Saturday. It's time to just be done and rest. So it was like,
I really admired that about you.
yeah. Like I just realized that's been a growth thing for me. Cause like previously, like old Mike a couple months ago probably wouldn't have done that.
So you would have just kept working?
Yeah, totally. And so I think, it's interesting. And it's good to have someone who's going to put a little bit of pressure on me because talking with one of the other people we live with, they were like, yeah, like if you come, great. If not, no pressure. Right. But
he was talking to Everly, the baby that lives in the house. She doesn't care what we do.
Yeah, she doesn't give a rip. Right. But then like, actually telling you about this was like, oh crap, I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to tell me to do. So it's like, all right, I need to just like,
I don't think I told you what to do.
No, you didn't. Right. But it's just
That's the key, folks, right there. Little insert real quick. Don't tell people what to do because then they'll want to do the exact opposite. So if you don't, you'll give room for the Holy Spirit to move and work because he's already working in their hearts and minds and lives anyways. Because I didn't tell you at all what to do.
Right. And I think it's just I know that in our friendship, I have talked about with you my struggle with workaholism. So like knowing that and knowing that you know that and knowing that like as I talk to you about that makes me think more sober-mindedly because it's like, oh, we've had conversations about this before. And I know what I should do right now.
See, I think that is literally like a moment in which you saw the Holy Spirit working in your heart and mind.
Yeah, certainly. And I remember there's like this point in there's this point of decision where it's like, I have to pick one and I can't blame shift. I can't. Right. And I think part of this is like for me growing up, work was the socially acceptable excuse to miss something. Right. Even like Christmas, it's like, oh, I have to work. Sorry, I can't come, or whatever it was. So just like to sort of like erase that as like a socially acceptable response to like disengage or not engage in rest or engage in social relationships.
What was the point you were saying? There had to be a point of yesterday.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
I just chose one.
Yeah.
And I chose to go. I chose to go and rest. And I think I remember we were sitting downstairs. You were on the couch. I was in the chair. I was like, I have to do it. I have to go. I already know that like, that's what I should do because I know.
When did you want to go then?
I didn't want to go then. Even then I didn't want to. I don't think I wanted to go until two things. You said you were also going and we were actually like in the truck driving there. It was like, the act of just like getting in the truck and driving was like, all right, it was a good, and I think another thing I realized too was also when I changed. So when I changed out of my work clothes, they're all sweaty and full of
sweat,
sawdust and crap. And I think one of the things that was helpful for me previously in separating like the end of a day of sort of like when work is stopping and when like the work is over for the day was showering. Like when I would get home and shower, it was just like going through that sort of like ritual was helpful in my mind for giving sort of like a mental separation to
absolutely.
I'm done working for the day. Now it's time to be home. So
that's a huge part of what rituals do in people's lives.
Yeah. So I was just thinking about like, oh, I wonder, maybe I should start doing that.
Did you take a shower last night after?
No, I didn't.
I was going to say like,
I think I decided not to, one, because we didn't have time.
Yeah.
I was like, we're already going to be a little late.
And then,
And then secondly, I also knew like, all right, we're going to be hanging out by a bonfire. Like I'm going to smell like smoke anyway. So I might as well we'll change or shower after that.
What's super funny is one, I did not realize you changed. I was like, I just assumed that you stayed in your same clothes. Or maybe it's because your clothes all look the same to me or that I don't pay attention to clothes. Two, nice point about the shower being a ritual. That's super interesting. That even makes me think about how, anyway, water often being anointed on people's head or oil often signifies a change in in the Bible and things like that.
Yeah, in their status or their standing, or
Yes, or change of healing, or
change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Go listen to the Pillar podcast. They have an episode about that, and how that relates to even in the New Testament, in James saying, if someone is sick among you, call the elders of the church and anoint them with oil to heal them. It's not like a special power thing, but anyways, that doesn't really connect. But the third thing, I guess, now is, okay, again, man, the Holy Spirit, he is working in your life. Because you were talking about old Mike, your mindset would have never done that, and new, and new Mike now. And I think about where Paul says in Romans, like, be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yeah.
And the Holy Spirit is at work both to will and to work for God's good pleasure within you. And however that worked, like, of renewing your mind to, like, acknowledge how I see that happen, of like, I'm a workaholic, and just everything that happened in your mind, like this new way of thinking, like that's a result of the Holy Spirit. And also then he gave you motivation as you were driving, and he also like he willed, I think, last night, even though you made the decision, he made the decision.
Right. Certainly. And I think, and even now it's like, yeah, I didn't get as far as I wanted on that project, but I don't regret not working on it longer, and not like being around people and investing in people relationally and socially and conversationally is like not something I ever regret. And I always forget that until after the fact.
Ooh, super interesting too.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain, my mind, my brain, my brain, my mind brain. It's super interesting too, seeing how, like, I think with the renewing of your mind and of your heart, or however you want to think that, like like values are being shifted as the Holy Spirit works within you, because old Mike was living for himself in his workaholism of his own status, of his own, I want to be unique to people. And new Mike is like, let go of that, as of, I think, of dying to that sin, and is essentially, like, whether you realize it or not, I think in some ways like living for God, or more of like maybe God's values, or
Yeah. I mean, and that is exactly the Christian life. The process of sanctification is the Lord bringing us to value what he values.
Yes.
To think how he thinks, to have the heart that he has,
to letting his kingdom reign and rule in our lives and our hearts, rather than
certainly
the world's or Mike's old kingdom of, I'm working, sorry.
Yeah. So rest. That was good. But so I did that, and then I also took a nap yesterday.
Nice.
So those were my restful things. But then the other thing is, it's like, I'm not planning on resting today. I actually have the daily 3.
What are your daily 3?
Well, they're actually a daily 2, I guess. I only have 2. So one is to start framing up the knee wall on the remodel, and then the other would be to sort of start batch editing the podcast.
Nice.
So I don't know if we'll get to that or not, but those are my 2, and I don't have a third.
Sweet.
And I think I'm okay with that.
If you had to pick the third one as like an actual restful activity, what would it be? Involving Brooke, or not involving Brooke?
I think I would want to learn something.
Okay.
Probably listen to a podcast episode with all of us, like, or like that night we had, that was really just a sweet night of getting to know one another better. Everyone who was in the house when we all helped each other, like, take the Enneagram test, and like,
that night. I was like, what night are you talking about?
I thought that was really, really good from a learning standpoint, from a growth standpoint, and from just a like getting to know one another standpoint.
That was good.
So something like that, or some, like, I think some group activity with everyone, even if that's just like having dinner and talking about something, or learning, doing something, having a bonfire on the air. I don't know, something like that.
Will your wife be home in time for us to do that?
She has LDI off-road tonight. But she's getting out of work early today.
Oh.
Hopefully. Maybe. You never really know as a nurse, because fit can always hit the shan at the end of a shift, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
So which means, well, I'm going to stay here an extra hour and a half, unfortunately. But, which is kind of what happened yesterday. She had a really long day yesterday. So, but.
Cool.
How about you, man? What are your daily thra?
My daily thra? It's going to be one, sitting and reading some of the Lord of the Rings. I discovered that there's actually 6 books, but they're split into 3 volumes. So when I finished the second book, it was actually finished the first volume. So now I'm starting the third book, which is 3 and 4 are the second volume. So
gotcha.
Essentially that's the 2 Towers. So I'm starting that. So I'm going to read some of that. I'm going to work on Jordan's laptop more and try to fix it, figure out. Try to fix it. And third one is take a nap.
Nice.
Yeah.
Solid.
So there we go.
Dude, naps are great. We talked about naps before.
I love naps.
Naps are wonderful. Anyway, this is another episode of the Daily 3.
The Daily 3.
The Daily Thra. Write it down.
Make it happen, folks. The Daily Thrice.
Write it down, make it happen. Take a nap.
That's right. Do your best. Take a nap.